place for conversations. SDAQ&A. You're safe to speak your truth. Common ground, shared beliefs with lots of room for disagreement. Tell us all what you believe and let us see if we can challenge you. Coming here to share their stories. Some have left this global church, some remain and defend her. Where are you on the path?
You love me so much more than I could ever know. Your love is deeper than this world will ever show. And all of life's beauty shines around this moment now. The sky and the cliffs, they seem to change my life somehow. And I will never be the same. Will never be the same. Whoa, I will never be the same, never be the same ever again. Well, here I am waiting, Lord, my life is just for you. Please unfold all the plans that you would have me do. And if all the world's just a breath and nothing's here to stay, and all of the love we feel will save us anyway. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, I will never be the same, will never be the same ever.
Hello and welcome everybody to the panel SDAQ&A live right around the world on every platform, I think. No, not really. But great to have you here. I did say yesterday we were going to be having another reading from that sort of series I've been doing on dissidents from New Zealand in the 30s and 40s. I'm going to do that later, maybe today or leave it till next week, because it occurred to me that there is a huge event happening this weekend, and we need to talk about it now, and we need to talk about it after it's occurred. I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on that, then hand it over to Debbie. But everybody, welcome, and please welcome my amazing guests today. The title of our show is called Women's Ordination Robbed Yet Again. And my guests are Peter Mashenko, and social justice warrior, SDA not concerned brethren, but someone who's, wants to make sure there's equality and fairness. And many of us believe that the women's ordination, and I'm not speaking for you guys, but many believe that by not allowing women to be ordained, it's a weapon of suppression, and it's unethical. It's not a theological thing for many of us. It's unethical. And being a father of two gorgeous daughters, 11 and 12, it was the turning point of why I left the church, and it's still a problem 9 years later. So we've got Debbie Hooper. She's a SDA, would you say journalist or writer, or just a human that likes writing stuff about things. So it's great to have Debbie here. And of course, we've got Paul and Paul Katanko. Have we met in the real world?
Don't know.
I know we've somehow crossed paths, and I'm not sure where or when, but it's great to have you on the program.
Thank you.
Paul is a SDA pastor. And I tell you what, it's really great that you're on the program today. People need to speak up about this topic. A lady on the promo wrote that it's unbiblical to have women ordained, and I thanked her for that, because I like people to share all the views they have. That's what SDAQ&A is about. So let's see, what little fancy boxes have I got here today that I can use? There we go. So just before I hand it to Debbie, the women's ordination no vote occurred in 2015. And I remember watching that. The vote wasn't to have it yes or no. The vote was that the unions around the world, the divisions, could decide on their own yes or no for women's ordination.
Divisions.
The divisions.
Yeah.
The divisions.
I believe unions already could. But they
exactly.
At the time,
can.
Yes. But this put a kibosh on all of that. And so it became a no to women's ordination right around the world. And again, many of us thought, wow, this is like Ellen White set up the unions and divisions in such a way that they had autonomous leadership of their own cultural realm. And she opposed global kingship. And many of us felt that no vote was a dangerous sign of things to come, which I believe have unfolded. Now, a few months ago, I was prattling on about this topic and saying to people who had hope, I wasn't trying to squash their hope, but I was suggesting that their hope was just naive, that it wasn't going to change. And they said, look, listen, we know that the AUC are meeting and it's going to be pushed through, and women's ordination here in Australia in the SPD, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You just wait and see. There's a big meeting coming up where it's going to knock your socks off how successful it is, and women are going to be ordained. And I was like, I don't think so, guys. I don't think that's going to happen. So it hit me the other day as I was reading. Debbie and Paul have both written 2 amazing articles in Spectrum magazine. Go and check it out. Spectrum is such an goldmine of information, and both Debbie and Paul have written for them just recently. And as I was reading those articles, I thought to myself, we've got to do a show before the AUC meeting, which is August 30, Aussie date, 29th in the state. 31. So 30 in the USA.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, we've got to talk about this. And so I reached out to Debbie, and I think thanks to Peter actually gave me a little reminder, and reached out to Debbie, talked about the article. She said, would you like me to see if Paul can come on? I said, are you kidding me? Would he come on? And here we are. We're on. So we're going to talk about this massive event, women's ordination. Is it going to happen or not? So Debbie, look, just give us a bit of a background about your article and also what you think's coming up, what's going to be on the agenda. What's going on, Deb? Tell us all about it.
All right, let me see if I can sum it up as quickly as possible. I helped you write the blurb for this particular show, and we decided to call it Women's Ordination Robbed yet again. It's a question because they will be discussing women's ordination, and yet there are lots of possible reasons why it won't actually come to a vote. In fact, they've said it won't come to a vote. So I already feel like there's probably a greater chance that women's ordination won't happen than that it will. But this whole thing for me started a month or two back when I was looking for some topics, and I saw that not women's ordination, but the topic ordination was on the AUC agenda. So I thought I'd do a little bit of digging and find out, well, what are people talking about? What's the agenda behind the agenda? And why do we not know this? Why is this not public knowledge? And it deserved more discussion. So that's when I wrote my first article about it, after having spoken to a conference president and find out what he said was the thinking behind the motion that was raised that would go to vote. It didn't have any mention of women's ordination at all in the information that he gave me. I was a little bit surprised by that, and I thought, oh, what is going on here? It turned out that
Shocking.
There was more interest in inequalities for elders than inequalities in the current system. I was disappointed about that. Anyway, what happened after that was that they decided apparently that they would have 2 extra days of discussion. So the fact that it got on the agenda in the first place was due to the fact that more than 1/3 of the conferences, and I learnt this from Paul yesterday, thanks Paul, had requested for it to go on the agenda, which meant that it would be voted. So 4 out of all of the Australian conferences put forward this motion, which meant that the AUC has to have it on their agenda. They have dedicated an additional 2 days to their usual 3-day constituency meeting. It will now go for 5 days at considerably more expense. However, in August, just this month, not very, very long ago, it was taken off the table. So it will no longer be an item up for vote. It will still be a discussion item. And part of the reason for that, I believe, is because 2 of the 4 conferences withdrew their request, saying we only wanted a discussion anyway, which means that the AUC...
Which 2 withdrew?
Well, it was North New South Wales, and I believe it was South New South Wales, which operate in fairly close. I think these are very closely aligned in many ways, these 2 conferences.
Yeah.
So the two out of the 4 took it, decided to withdraw, which meant that it's no longer something that the AUC has to do, although they could still do it. And they said now it will not be on the table for voting. It's come off the table, but there will still be a discussion, or this will be the start of a discussion. There's a lot of frustration out there because this has been debated, I don't know how many times.
60 years.
Exactly. And they're not looking at this massive elephant in the room. And so now I'm looking at, what's going to happen into the 30s, into the 2030s.
Wow.
Will it be the same? And what are the reasons for that? I wrote a second article after Paul's article, who actually revealed a lot more that was going on behind the scenes.
Yes.
That I hadn't been able to find out. I wrote a second article about what are the reasons that we're so stuck here and we can't move out of there. So I think that whole psychological side of it has been something I've been really just intrigued by. And, people make lots of claims and they often try to say, women only want a recognition and all of those kinds of things, that it's basically a very selfish reason that women want equal recognition. But I think, we've got to think about, it's not just the positions that women want to fill. They're maybe no woman who's out there in ministry now wants to be a conference president, which they currently can't be. They may not want that.
Yeah.
What it does say to our community is that women are second-class citizens.
Yeah. They don't even get a choice.
They're not getting that choice.
Don't get the look in.
It's not about power.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the end for me.
No, that's good. Look, can I just say, Schley has just said something. I can't find it. It's gone past already. But he thinks it's one of the only things the Adventist Church has gone. He's a former Adventist, but he thinks it's one of the only things the Adventist Church has gotten right. So here's my point. I don't mind if you have a position for or against it. I personally think it's unethical. A lot of people do. My thing that I'm frustrated about and get high and mighty about is that behind the scenes, these leaders tell us, hey, it's changing. We're onto it. We've got things in the in the background that's going to be shifting the whole conversation. You wait and see. And then those very people don't deliver. That's what irks me, is the double talk, the lies, the false hope. That's what really gets me.
Well,
Now,
Peter,
Paul,
they've got an opportunity to prove you wrong.
That's exactly right.
In 4 days. So history hasn't been written yet.
That's right.
Meetings haven't been had. So they have an opportunity to step up and actually do the right thing and say, look, we're going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and not just, hide behind, oh, we need to talk and, be fearful. This is just a matter of right and wrong.
Yes.
And they can silence you. If they want to silence Peter Dixon,
go for it.
By making this injustice right, they can do that next week.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that. And I was approaching this weekend with a lot of excitement. I was literally going to prepare for next week. This is about a month ago. I was thinking, after I'm going to come on the show and I'm going to go, I was wrong. You guys are doing something.
And that could happen. We're praying for that.
For some reason, I'm feeling like, I get these little goosebumps that say, nah, look out, mate. So before I go to Paul, Peter, just tell us about your petition. And I'm going to put the link in the comments so that people can actually go and sign it. Sign it today, everybody. Tell us about the petition just quickly there, Peter.
Sure. Thank you, Peter. So, look, I've been thinking about this for quite a few years and, did a draft a couple of years ago, and then it had some positive feedback from Debbie and others that I reached out to at the time, but then lost focus. Debbie, I'm really grateful she reached out and told me about the AUC meeting and that there's an opportunity to speak into that potentially. And so in a couple hours that very night, it all came out and I drafted this petition on change.org because I think that and the petition, sorry, just to explain what it is, because I've had various people talk to me and say, oh, and you can see it in the chat. There are various perspectives on ordination.
Sure.
And some people don't want women to be ordained because they don't want them to be equal, but others don't want them to be ordained because they genuinely and honestly don't think that the way we practice ordination is, biblical or the best way to do things. Maybe it's a bit Catholic rather than priesthood of all believers, various things. So the petition that I drafted is really looking at it from just the justice and gender inequality issue. It's just a right and wrong, simple.
Yeah.
As well as the impacts, that our church it's having on our church, having this inequality, two-tiered system, younger generations looking in at the church and going, what? That's what you guys, believe and practice? Like, no, they're not taking our messages seriously. People like yourself, Peter, and others have left the church over, this issue as a major contributing factor. So we're poorer for it, and we're not reaping the benefits of the potential that women could bring in leadership. But it's at the end of the day, no matter how it happens, whether it's ordination or whether it's removing ordination, and having an equal playing field in Australia, that is part of our DNA. The fair go,
Exactly.
the pub test. And there is no way, no one can say that what we do now meets the pub test. So I wrote the petition. I was very passionate. Someone that I wrote back and said, oh, it's too long. You should make it, 4 lines and just say women should be ordained. And, Ellen was ordained. And I was like, well, hang on a sec, because if you create things like that, people can then argue and say, oh, no, Ellen wasn't ordained. Oh, we shouldn't ordain women.
Yeah.
So it's brought back to the basics, just a moral, ethical question. Do we believe in the priesthood of all believers? Do we believe in our fundamental, belief number? What number is it? It's in the petition, where we talk about number 14, where we say distinctions between high and low, rich and poor, male and female must not be divisive among us.
Yeah.
We're all equal in Christ and are to serve and be served without partiality or reservation. So do we believe in that? Do we believe in, where it says in the Bible that there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you all are one in Christ? If the answer is we do believe those things, well, then that's the end of the discussion.
That's right.
It's simple. You
And
just
look,
change it, you do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I believe the unions have the power to make those
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is really, the petition is, and it's not going to stop this week end, but we've got 620 people that have signed already.
Great.
And this has only just been in a couple of weeks. There's names on there, and look, there's probably names that are known by people that I am not familiar with, because it's national. There's people from all over Australia, but just some names that I'm familiar with: Wilkinson, Truscott, Butler, Cox, Cross, Pascoe, Tolhurst, Southern, Scale, Borges, Madigan, Heiss, Unser, Potter, Clifford, Trethaway, Eddy, Harker, Roenfeld, Cox, Pitchford, Bainbridge, Gibbons, Long, Norm Young, Rogers, Heiss. There's people, that are supportive of this, and I encourage everyone to add their name. I am going to be trying to send a copy of all of the petition with all the lists and names to the conference presidents. Debbie has helpfully given me their names. I presume that their email addresses are just first name dot last name at adventist.org.au. But it's really a call to people's sense of justice, decency. It's not trying to tear down the church. And if you read it, it's praying for them. It's acknowledging good leadership and just asking for the work to be finished and to help represent us. And in our part of the world, if we can do the right thing here. If we wait for everyone around the world to have consensus, it'll never happen.
Never happen.
So that's the petition.
That's great, Pete. Thank you so much. for doing that, Peter, because I've often said, unless the progressive Adventist, Big Ten Adventist, that's not my Adventism, Adventist, gets organised, this stuff won't change. So good on you for doing that. And I want to encourage everybody, I've put the link in the chat on all the platforms. Please go and share it and sign it, and let's see if we can make a bit of a change instead of just talking about it.
Before the end of this, let's see how many we've added before the end of this.
Yes, let's do it. Come on. Now, as I said, it's so good to have Paul on the program. And Paul, I don't know if you've watched any of our shows or not, but I've put out a challenge for a few years now for SDA pastors to come on the show and just say simply, I support women's ordination. And I've had one person, and I'm not sure if there's a correlation, but pretty soon after, he wasn't at that church anymore and had a different job. Now, I might be wrong, but so I really appreciate you coming on the program. You don't have to say where you stand on women's ordination. That's not what I've got you on the show today for. But I have got you on the program today to really bring us up to date with what's going on. Debbie, just hold that up one more time, just quickly. This is the QR code to the subscription thing.
Yes.
Oh, let's see if that works. I've always wanted to do that. Hang on.
To the petition,
To the petition, I mean, not subscription. What am I talking about?
And while Debbie's doing that, I'll just let you know.
Oh, it works.
Some other stats. So there's 620 people have signed, 14,000 views, 242 shares. So 242 people have shared it, and 55 people have actually put their money where their mouth is and put in money to try and help promote it.
Wow. That is so good. Well,
We're only just begun. Like, people are busy. It grows, slowly, and it'll just keep spreading.
Yeah. Well, I've just signed it, so that's how fast it took. So, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Love you to share us your thoughts on this. Tell us, perhaps, to start with, your article. You're an SDA pastor. Are you currently employed as an SDA pastor? And you're pastoring a church. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're pastoring, and about the article that you just wrote. Bring us up to speed.
Sure. Well, as of today, I'm still employed as an SDA pastor. Hopefully that'll continue. I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and I've got two churches in the suburbs of Melbourne. So they're two lovely churches as well, Fendry Gully and Glen Huntley.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I was on the executive when it came through that there was, of course, San Antonio before that. And at that time, I thought, well, the church isn't ready. Okay, we just got to wait. And it vanished from my consciousness of women's ordination. I thought, oh, well, it'll happen. But what got me involved and got my back up was when the General Conference put in these compliance committees. And I thought, that is just a bridge too far. Sure, okay, church isn't ready for ordaining women, but why these processes to punish unions that choose to ordain when they have the authority to ordain? One of the things to mention is Australian Union Conference was the first union in the world. Okay, we were the trailblazers, and Ellen White approved of it as a counterbalance to GC authority and GC overreach, and also to have local leadership used for local conditions, that they could adjust things for local conditions. So in actual fact, the GC tries to frame it that the unions are out of policy, when in fact it's the GC that has overreach.
Yes.
It's not the unions that are acting out of line. It's the GC that is clearly out of line, trying to impose only male ordination. And that's what I wish our leaders would understand. We are a constituency-based organisation, not a hierarchical one where your head office says this, it goes down to the division unions, It's not. It's a constituency organisation. The leaders are answerable to the constituency, not to the general conference. Now, of course, we're part of the worldwide church. Fully understand that. But yeah, the unions were created to localize the work of the church rather than everything centered at the general conference. So that's when I really had an awakening, when I thought, why is my church doing this? I'm a pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the church I love, and yet my church is doing this terrible thing of overtly punishing unions who are simply following their mandate and who are simply recognizing that women are called to pastoral ministry, that God has called them, and all the unions are doing is recognizing God's call. They're not imposing their own will. They're simply saying, just like God has called men to pastoral ministry, God has also called women to pastoral ministry. Why this committee structure and process to punish organizations? So that's when I really had an awakening that I didn't really have when the vote didn't go through in San Antonio.
Right.
I just sort of shrugged it. So yeah, I can thank Ted Wilson for my radicalization on this point.
And a lot of
Ted, if you're
people,
watching.
yes, he does. He has watched a few shows.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm friends with one of his wife's really good friends.
I thought you were going to say he had multiple wives there, Peter.
Well, they do allow multiple wives in parts of Africa because it's part of the culture. I haven't seen him kibosh that one. So Paul, a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, Erton, let's give him a go. Hey, he's new, bit of breath of fresh air. My understanding, and I have watched and I've been trying to find it, is a video of him clearly speaking out against women's ordination. That's just me saying it. I can't prove it just yet till I find it. But I have a memory of seeing it. But I know that he has definitely spoken out against it, and he says it's not on the agenda at the moment. But what are your thoughts, Paul, on his stance? Does Erton support women's ordination, do you think, or have you seen evidence that he doesn't?
Yeah, look, I've got no idea, so I wouldn't want to comment or make assumptions. All I know is that he said it's not a discussion for now.
Right.
So, the unions are not going to get off the hook from the GC, which I think is what they're actually hoping. Delaying and study and that, rather than taking action like other unions have. And that's the most frustrating part. They're making out like this is a big deal.
Yeah.
That somehow no one in the world has ever done this before.
Yeah.
Whereas other unions have done it, and believe it or not, the world hasn't stopped spinning.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
And also, Paul, other churches have done it since the time ours started, like the Salvation Army, Catherine and William Booth together, women in leadership, right since the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not hard for them, but for us, for some reason, they just keep making it such a big deal out of it. That is not in the pews. People in the pews just see, what are we doing? Especially the young ones. This is just plain injustice, and that's the line that I've been pushing. It's no longer a theological question. By having women pastors, we've dealt with the theological issues. Now it's just a justice issue. That, okay, if we have them as pastors, treat them equally to men. Don't treat them as second class, and don't hide behind theology. Because they're quite right. Ordaining pastors isn't in the Bible. My argument is, if it's bad enough for male pastors, it should be bad enough for female pastors.
I remember a lot of pastors said to me before the no vote that if it was voted in, that if the no vote succeeded, that they would hand in their credentials and be asked to be just presented as commissioned, not ordained. None of them ever did. I don't know of any that did that. Maybe a couple in Norway did that. So a lot of these guys, the good guys, are all talk. That's why I'm so glad you've come on the
Yeah.
program today. I really value it and appreciate it, and I hope you don't get into any trouble for it. What are some reasons? What are some reasons do you think that they're kicking the can down the road all the time? Why are they so worried about this? Is it potentially because of the money?
Oh, no, definitely not the money, because one good thing, male and female pastors are paid exactly the same. So there's nothing financial in it.
I mean the removal of money from the conservative traditional Adventists who don't like this.
Okay. Yeah. Look, I don't want to speak for other people, what their motives may or may not be. All I know is that it's extremely frustrating. The conference that I'm from, Victoria, we have stuck to our guns. We're not withdrawing. Victoria's not withdrawn anything, and for that I'm really grateful that Victoria hasn't buckled. Just a simple motion to ordain people to pastoral ministry without regard to gender. You don't need a symposium, as one of the suggestions, or Bible study things. Don't need it. It's a simple motion just to have equality. And also, it made allowances as recommended by the conferences. So the union isn't going to go around and marauding in conferences and ordaining women. The system is conferences recommend to the union candidates for ordination. And so this motion was specifically said at the end as recommended by the conferences. So there's no, each conference decides themselves.
Yeah.
And look, some are more conservative, fine. Okay, some are more progressive, fine. No, nobody's out to force anybody.
Exactly.
And this is what I've heard feedback. Oh, the other conferences don't want to stop other conferences from ordaining.
No.
Well, then why didn't they support the motion? I totally agree with you, Peter. There's a lot of virtue signaling. If virtue signaling was an Olympic sport, these conferences would be getting all gold, equal gold. Virtue signaling.
So true. So
They're
true.
running to action. Oh, you're missing in action.
You've hit the nail on the head of my angst. I couldn't care if they all said we don't believe women should be ordained, and they made it so.
Yeah,
it's them telling me. You've raised something interesting. They tell you behind the scenes, and I'm going to ask Debbie in a minute to just if she remembers being on the show that time when we talked about Nerily Smith Dobson's open letter, which how long ago is that now? I know you were on the show about 3-4 years ago about it, but the actual letter was written another couple of years before that. But so you've raised an interesting thing there, Paul. Not only do they tell you one thing behind the scenes and then don't act, they love virtue signaling on top of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I could cope if they just went, "Hey, it's going to happen, mate. We're onto it," and then in public don't do anything. But they don't. They then get up and speak. Hi, everybody. Like someone sent me a message. I think Peter actually put me onto this, Peter Mashenko. They said, at camp, Pastor Rathel or whatever his name is, I think it was Pastor Rathel, Adrian Rathel, he spoke in support of women's ordination at camp last week. This is a couple of years ago. And I was like, I don't think he would. No, he definitely did. It was amazing. And I think, Peter, you heard me say something about that, and we tried to chase up the recording of it. Eventually, someone did send me a transcript of the recording, and there is no mention of support of women's ordination, but there's a lot of virtue signaling about women in ministry. So they use that as a euphemism, Oh, yes, we support women in ministry. And everyone goes, see, they support women's ordination.
No.
Sadly, it's set up in such a way that you have to say the word ordination. I think David wrote a little earlier, and he said quite a good point. One doesn't need a title or pulpit to share Jesus. I agree with that 100%, David.
It's true.
But when you use it as a weapon of suppression, that's when it becomes an issue. And this kicking it down the road, this telling us behind the scenes it's changing, hang in there, then this virtue signaling that Paul just mentioned. It is just a mess.
Yeah, it is. It's a total mess. I wish I could use the vernacular of Australians to describe it. But
someone did earlier.
It's an SDAQ&A show. An extra
Yeah.
Yeah, what really annoyed me was they originally had four. They were going to present 4 outcomes to presented to the voting options to accept the recommendation, which was, pie in the sky about not ordaining pastors, and somehow elders and church members would just spontaneously erupt into mission. It's just unbelievable. To study further, including Bible conferences in view of a special session in 2027. So they're wasting 2 days now, and then they want to waste some more later as well, rather than getting on with it now. Recommended this proposal to the General Conference. I'm sure the General Conference is just waiting for that recommendation so they can act on it. It's just pie in the sky stuff. And the fourth one, maintain current practice and procedure. What's missing is, what about option 5, ordain women?
Yeah.
They're always talking about equality, and that's what this is all about. We want to have equality in ministry, and by not ordaining anybody, we'll be all equal. But they never presented that as an option, as a voting option. Then what they did, which I'm not sure is correct, but anyway, when the 2 conferences withdrew their support, they had a meeting and they downgraded it from an agenda item to a discussion item.
Oh, wow.
Now, I think that's a bit dubious because
This weekend.
I don't know when they had the meeting.
No, but the meeting deciding.
For this weekend. Yeah, that's right. There's no.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right. It's really
downgraded to it's just a discussion. So can I just interrupt just there?
Sure.
So Peter, you just said before, Peter Mashenko, that I could be proven wrong this weekend.
You still could, Peter.
I can't because it's a discussion now. There's no decision going to be made.
If they downgraded it, they can re-upgrade it.
Can they?
Why not?
From the floor, you can make a motion from the floor.
From the floor.
Yeah.
If these men can make decisions, then they can make decisions.
Okay. Good.
If they're moved by the Spirit, and if we pray for them, and if they have courage, they can do it.
So if they don't, they lack courage and they haven't been moved by the Spirit.
Well, I'd say
look, that's the key word is courage. That I've used many times. It takes courage, and that's what's been lacking. So they're hiding behind all of this stuff. Which, while men were ordained for 100-odd years, nobody said boo about it. But as soon as the question of ordaining women comes up, all of a sudden, wow, ordination is not good. We've got to study this, and so anyway, why I'm a little bit unsure about is that obviously I'm a pastor, I serve on boards. Different people bring motions to the board meeting. The different departments bring their motions, and it's voted by the board. Now, if the person who moved the motion says, I'm not in support of it anymore, well, tough luck. The church has voted it. Okay.
Yes.
So for the AUC to get together just because those 2 conferences withdrew their support, to me, is a little bit shady, because once it's adopted, it's no longer adopted by the AUC executive. It's there. It's there on the agenda. Whether if on the floor they want to say we don't approve of it, okay, fine, that's their right. But for the union to then go ahead and say, okay, let's downgrade it because they've withdrawn their support.
Yeah,
it's very, very shady.
Very shady, my opinion.
Indeed. It should have gone ahead and let them, oppose
and
it
decide.
And decide. But now they've taken away the decision from the constituents, and to me, that's just plain undemocratic.
Yes,
me.
Agree.
Why would you call 2 days for discussion? Just calling it 2 days for the agenda item was wasteful in my mind. 2 days on
expensive.
Only having two ordinations instead of 3.
Yeah.
It's just
there's an extra $100,000 thrown in the bin.
Exactly. Plus, for what? And now we're just going to be having a discussion about it.
Now you're going to be attending the meeting.
Yes, that's right.
So tell me what the process is. What, like Peter said, they could change it on the, just do a turn on the
Well,
dime there. What
they're
needs to be
making it
done? What's the process?
they're making it extremely difficult by downgrading it to a discussion. Now, they've also said we'll not entertain any motions on the topic. And to me, that is undemocratic. And this is the line I'm pushing. So
Why do
they're
they
not gonna
call it a constituents meeting, Paul? If
Exactly my
people-
point. I put an email to them and I said it's called a constituency meeting where
is crazy.
constituents have a fundamental right to move motions, a fundamental right,
Yeah.
and they're taking it away from us.
Mine.
And I'm going to making that point loud and clear at the constituency meeting.
Good on
They're playing games, and that's what I'm really not happy
But they
about.
might say you can't speak. You might not even get a chance to say that.
Well, I think I will. But yeah, it's really is quite discouraging. The maneuvering that's been going on.
Are there other pastors like yourself that are also discouraged?
Yeah, look, there
Do
are
you guys
pastors
talk
who are
to each other?
discouraged. Yeah, sure. We have our meetings and stuff. It's not a topic that we all talk about, but
Like
there is discouragement, and especially amongst the women pastors who feel that they're just being treated as a political football. A simple motion was put for Victoria by Victoria, just ordain. Okay, Victoria looked for support from other conferences. And these other conferences, instead of supporting, even though they say they don't want to stop other conferences from ordaining, they put up this motion, similar motions, together about, the distinction between elders and pastors is not good. Even at the time, I said, look, the problem is ordination is so embedded in policies and the church manual and everything else. It's like unscrambling an egg. You just can't do it with a simple vote. And now they've discovered how difficult it is, and so they wanted to downgrade it to a discussion only to start the discussion. But the other thing that has really annoyed not just me and others, but as I said in my article, there hasn't been a single line written in any official publication about this. This is just being brought to the constituency meeting. First of all, originally to make a decision, and now downgraded to a discussion. You couldn't make this stuff up, honestly.
Maybe they're afraid of hearing the people's voice, Paul.
Yeah.
Well,
If it
that's
goes
what
to
I
a
put out in
vote,
my
they know
article.
what'll happen.
Yeah.
I put out in the article. The people are behind it. This should have been the easiest sell imaginable.
The interesting thing, though, and you mentioned earlier the compliance document, which has gone quiet, but the compliance document is still in policy. It has not been removed.
That's
and
right.
by ordaining women, you are out of compliance with the directive of the Global General Conference Church. So that's what they're scared about. That's what these leaders like Glenn Townend and Brendan Pratt and Terry Johnson, they're in a position where they go, oh, hang on, do we become non-compliant or do we listen to the people? They're between a rock and a hard place. And Lloyd Turner asks a great question. Who is they? We keep saying they've stopped this and they've stopped that. Like, who's going to be the chairman of this committee? Is it Terry Johnson? Is Terry still in union?
It'll be the new president.
Is Terry the current president?
Yes, he is.
And the new. So when are they bringing in the new president?
That'll be during the meetings.
And
I understand
who is that
for
going
this.
to be?
Well, can't say. But anyway.
Oh, sorry.
It's revealed. It is the worst kept secret.
Right. Do you know who's going to chair the meeting?
The new president.
New president.
Oh, the new president, right.
Yeah, the new president will be chairing the meeting.
Same answer.
Yeah.
So you can't say who's chairing the meeting.
No, just say the new president.
So there's your answer, Lloyd Turner. Secrecy.
Yeah,
well,
but to be fair, he's not the one who's done it. Okay,
No.
I want to make that clear. This was done by the executive. He's not even voted in yet, so obviously he hasn't done it.
So the
But
executive.
the way that the executive has framed it, I understand.
Who's on the executive?
Good question. I'm not sure. I think it's
Like,
all
is that
the
something we
all the
can look up
conference
online?
What
presidents.
conference presidents?
All the conference
Plus-
presidents, plus some pastors, plus some
Yeah.
lay people.
So they all get
Um,
together and they sit there, and
Yes.
and whoever's chairing it, and it's not one of
The union president. Who
so the
chairs
union
it.
president is chairing the executive,
Yes,
and
that's right.
they start a discussion. It's like, is it just kind of like a mob mentality that creeps in, and they discuss, and hey, we're going to downgrade this? Like, what guy of all these guys? Like, I heard that they did a survey here in the North New South Wales, and over 70% of the pastors and employees said that they supported women's ordination, the WO, not the women in ministry.
Yeah,
euphemism.
that's right. Yeah.
So here's a committee, an executive committee that statistically should be 70% in favor of women's ordination. Who backs down here? Like, is there 30% weaklings or 70% weaklings? Like, I would have thought the numbers would have pushed it through.
Maybe that's why they don't want to actually bring it to a vote, because they possibly know that it would be pushed through if they did bring it to a vote.
And then they'd be out of compliance, and
that's right.
The GC would be on their back for
yeah.
breaking one of the six, and they would be warned, like the Norwegians and the North American
Potentially,
division.
yeah.
Or you could reframe it and say then they would be in good company of men and women of conscience and courage who believe in doing the right thing.
That's so good, Peter.
And also, what has happened to those unions? Has the sky fallen in? Has the church fallen apart? No.
Exactly.
No, but they've done nothing.
No, I'm saying the unions that do ordain women.
I really like
that's an interesting question. I'll let you answer this, Debbie, and you can say what you're going to say, and then I'll come back to you, Paul. But people keep telling me that these unions in the North American division do ordain women. I'm not sure that's true. I don't think it's recognized. I think they go through a little ceremony and they might say you're ordained, but I think officially they're still commissioned.
No.
I don't know.
So, Paul,
you know, Paul?
Yeah, they are ordained. They're ordained.
So in the North American division, there are women officially ordained.
Yes, absolutely. Because the union is the one who issues the credentials.
Therefore, they're recognised by the GC.
That I'm not sure if they're recognised outside their territory.
Right.
But certainly they are as ordained as any other man within their union.
Interesting.
That's the other thing I brought up. I can't look a bit on the spot, but the Pacific Union, which everyone would think, those liberals in California and that.
Yeah.
They voted for women ordination. I think it was 2015. When I looked at something, I think it was about 22, 23, only 4 of the 7 conferences ordain women.
Right.
10 years later, 4 of the 7, and the union president said, we all get along. So this is the model that I'm pushing for, where the conferences decide, they're answerable to their constituents.
Yeah.
Okay.
In their conference.
So, and if they don't want it, fine.
Yeah.
But why are they stopping conferences who do want to ordain?
Yes.
This
Okay.
convoluted process where you can identify as being an ordained pastor as one of the things that is as a workaround. It's just frustrating that they're not doing the obvious solution and instead doing something that's so convoluted that the chances of it ever happening. I joked once in the ministers' meeting, in Revelation, the 24 elders is the AUC still trying to work it out whether to about not ordaining pastors.
Yeah.
I think
it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Peter Dixon you are the only Peter, apart from me when I'm speaking, so I don't need to define.
For our listeners on the podcast who can't
see. You always referred to yourself in the third person, Peter Mashenko. We know that.
Yeah.
What I've learned from group comments under chats in SDA, People's Voice, and Q&A and other places is that some people have said, and I don't know all the details, but one of the conferences in North American Division had a female conference president.
Yes, that's right.
But they weren't listed in the GC
yearbook.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. So petty.
It is.
So petty. You really got to ask, they really should
And
have a good look at themselves.
So
And I
that,
wonder if those
Betty.
people hate it, and when they see women CEOs as well, it's like,
Imagine
really,
that.
you think that women don't have leadership skills?
Yeah, I know.
it's
It's
effectively
insulting.
erasing her from history, because in years
People
to
look
come,
back. Yeah,
people won't know.
yeah. Wow.
People won't know.
Now, Debbie, you were going to say something before. I'll then get you to talk a little bit about Nerali's open letter, and then Paul will come back to you just for a couple of other thoughts. And we're going to have a short program today, so we're going to be wrapping up with it about 20 minutes. So those who say I ramble on with long shows, you'll be proven wrong once out of 500.
Oh no, it was just I was really interested in why the two conferences actually pulled out of the motion. I would really like to know why, and I have got an answer to that, because I did ask Copacianu, but it doesn't ring like, it doesn't seem like the full story to me. He said that they withdrew because there was going to be this discussion. To me, that doesn't make sense if you're wanting action and a vote on it. So is it because we started talking about it because there was more discussion about women's ordination than perhaps what they wanted? I certainly know they tried to swing the attention to what they were wanting to do with elders, which was really just ignoring the whole women's ordination topic entirely. So you and I were talking about that yesterday, Paul. You were quite shocked when you saw that what I'd written about what I had been told the four conferences discussed, that it wasn't what in any way reflected what Victoria had asked, which was basically just to ask for women's ordination. And Western Australia also reflected some of that. They wanted women's ordination, and they have remained with that request. But
as far as I know.
Well, yeah, as far as we know. But obviously the threshold isn't reached, so the AUC doesn't have to look at it anymore. But anyway, so I think, Peter, you were saying, when was that letter written by Nerali? It was back in October 2019.
Whoa.
Yeah. And she wrote a open letter to the church leaders in the South Pacific and the Australian Union Conference, just asking how much longer do we have to wait?
6 years ago.
Good question.
So, I mean, that's still, some of us have been a little bit excited about what might be coming, and now, I think it's very highly likely that it won't.
Do you remember that she wrote a second letter because people had said lots of things behind the scenes to her?
Yes.
She had seen this virtue signaling and this false hope. Do you remember, because we did a show on the both open letters, do you remember, and this is don't have to answer, putting you on the spot, but do you recall some of the things that she was upset about because of that? And all of you were very upset. Remember the interview we did with you and Rochelle and Nikki, and what was going through your mind? What were you feeling when you would hear these guys behind the scenes tell you, and how do you feel now 6 years later when they're still doing and saying the same thing?
Yeah, well, she was, she didn't hear from most of those church leaders, but she did hear from a number who asked her to keep their response confidential, saying that basically it's going to happen. So once again, despite those reassurances to Nerali about her questions, it still didn't happen. So in
2025 is the year, Debbie. Good things are going to happen.
In 2021, they did make the GC XCOM, the AUC XCOM, did make some special considerations for women in ministry. So they added extra support. They installed Lindell Peterson into a role that would be able to do more of that, and they also gave them the right to be able to ordain elders, because before 2021, women were not allowed to ordain elders.
No, they don't. They're not allowed to.
They are now, I understand.
No,
They're not allowed to now.
No.
Wow.
I went, no, definitely not. No, they're not allowed to ordain elders
I
or
read that in
deacons.
a record article, so they're wrong. The record article was wrong.
If you'd send the link, because I know some women pastors, and they're not allowed. They've got to get a bloke in to do the ordinations. And yeah, and when a church was organised, I went to an organisation of a church, which was led by a female pastor, and at the church ceremony, they also ordained elders, the president and that, because the pastor could not do that. So yeah, there's still that discrimination where these poor women pastors have to, in the eyes of their churches, they're downgraded by this nonsense.
And I think that's the real issue here as well. It's not just, it's not the only real issue, but one of the greatest issues for women is that even although they're eligible for senior pastor roles when they're commissioned or whatever, and even conference administrative roles, they can actually go anywhere in the world and practice ministry. The reality is that with this soft, what you might call soft sexism that is condoned by the church, this only validates people who have sexist attitudes, and they're confronting these attitudes in their local churches, wherever they are. So, and so it's not just the fact that they're not going to be able to be eligible to be conference, union, division, or GC president or ordain elders. It's the fact that there is this constant second-class treatment.
Exactly.
That's
right. Comes up all the time in these issues. Yeah.
And all based about what's between someone's legs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Gender.
That's long and short of it.
What year is this?
Yeah, exactly.
What year is this? Yeah. Well, that's why I left. I think I've said many times on the show that I'm sitting there holding Renee. She's like 2.5, watching on YouTube the no vote, and I think the Jan Paulson was booed, and I literally, I think being an older dad holding a little girl, and I just thought, I just can't put my name to this anymore. I just can't, because if she wanted to get a position, even at a local church that required her to be ordained, she wouldn't, just like Pete said, just because of her gender. And I thought,
they can in a local church be
not ordained as a pastor.
Yeah, but they can't do some functions of the church.
That's right. There's functions they can't do. And if she wanted to be, president of the AUC, I think during that photo shoot where I had written, where are the women, and I got a lot of pushback. My point wasn't that there should be 50% women. There shouldn't be. I'm not talking about equity. I'm talking about equal opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I just want to see equal opportunity. And in the union at the time, one of the union workers wrote to me and said, of the 23 jobs available, only 10 are available to women because of gender.
Would that be right, Paul? It's very hard. It's almost impossible to find out exactly what female commissioned pastors can do as opposed to male ordained pastors.
No, well, this is what they said. Of the jobs available, only of the 23, only 10 are available to women because they're not ordained.
The only position that requires ordination is conference president.
Yeah, that's what
and of course union president and GC president. But women can be secretaries, secretaries of conferences and that.
I guess what about the of the role, Paul? What differences things you can't do in a pastoral role if you're not ordained?
Okay. Well, what they can't do, in my understanding, is they can't ordain elders and deacons. They cannot organize churches, and officially they can't baptize without permission from the conference. But I think a lot of conferences don't really enforce that particular one. But in terms of not being able to ordain elders and deacons, that's unless some conferences might turn a blind eye, but officially they are not. And I know that in the Victorian Conference, some women pastors have not ordained elders and deacons because they don't have permission to do that. So it's humiliating. It really is.
Yeah.
I just wish these other conferences and presidents would just consider other people and consider the women. I mean, to be fair, the Australian Union Conference has done a lot to promote women in ministry. They really have, and I think credit needs to be given for that. I just wish they'd take the next step, and have full equality between men and women by ordination.
Yeah.
I'm happy to put my name to that, because
Thank
the
you.
process that they've described and want to do, as I say, it'll be going into the millennium after Jesus returns. It really will, to try and extricate.
Jesus will correct
ordination.
Yeah. And my point is, even if there was only one position, one job in the whole world, on the planet, if there was only one position that required you to be a male, and if you were a female, you were not allowed to have that job, that's one too many.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And that's
absolutely
that. Imagine the Commonwealth Bank, a big banking organization here in Australia. Imagine if they said, there's certain top level positions that you can't have if you're a woman. Just imagine the uproar.
Yeah, exactly.
The CEO of Macquarie Bank is Shamaro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and she's done amazing, and she's an amazing woman.
Now, Peter, you had a question to ask of Paul a while back about the meetings.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to let Debbie finish up with any thoughts she would like to just close with. And Paul, I'll let you do that as well. And then Peter will give one more plug for the
petition.
Petition. Yeah. So fire away with your question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. I'm really glad that you're here today, and thank you for being willing to share what many of us, don't get exposed to or have an understanding of. Being a constituency meeting, well, I've got 3 questions. First of all, what's the definition of a constituent in the church?
At a constituency meeting, it's the delegates. So we operate on a. People have said, the church is a democracy. No, it's not. It's a representative democracy. So for the union, a bit of boring hierarchy stuff. For the conference, the constituents are the churches. Okay, so the churches are the constituents or the members. For the union, the conferences are the constituencies, not the churches, not the members. Okay, the conferences are the 9 conferences in the Australian Union Conference. They're the constituents of the union. Now, because divisions are a branch of the General Conference, divisions don't have constituents, so they don't have constituency meetings, and so they're all elected at the GC because they're just a branch of the GC, so they're quite different. So at a constituency meeting, it's the delegates who are the representatives of the conferences, not the local churches or the members. And so that's a combination.
Employees, conference employees.
Not all of them. Not all of them. There's a mixture of the, of course, all the 3 officers, president, secretary, and treasurer. They're all, of course, delegates. Then departmental leaders. Then there's people who are elected or nominated by the executive committee, and that's a mixture of pastors and lay people. So there's also lay people as well who are on there. Actually, I've got the figures somewhere if you're interested for this particular session.
Yeah, and how many people in total will be coming?
There's a theoretical amount of 226. Okay. Because I actually asked that question about who the delegates were. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Well, that's right.
Okay, here we go.
Got it.
So the there's 226 in that possible ones. Okay, but that includes 4 from the South Pacific Division, 2 possible from the General Conference, but none are coming. But in terms of lay people, it's supposed to be about 30% of the delegates. 19, I'll just do it quick. 22, 25, 28. 39, 41, 51. So it's about 57 on the count that I've got of lay people, and then non-admin people, which I presume is not the 3 officers.
Yep.
Similar amount. So there's 50 odd church members who are attended. They've been nominated, and I myself was someone who was just nominated by the executive. I'm not on their ex officio. I'm just a local church pastor. But I really thank the conference because they know how I feel about this issue and what I've done for it. And they didn't have to nominate me. In fact, I said to when they wrote that I was a delegate, I said, "Oh, gee, I hope that both of us don't regret this decision later."
We'll pray for you, Paul.
So,
And thank you. And then the other 2 questions were, do they record, is it live streamed or recorded? And then the follow-up, the other question is, regardless of the answer to that one, are minutes kept and are they available to church members like a freedom of information type situation, seeing as I know you said that the delegates are the conferences, but the conferences represent the members.
It's all about representation.
Can we, that's right,
right.
representative, can we actually see what was discussed, who said what decisions were made?
Yeah, look, in terms of that, I don't believe it's being recorded or live streamed. Well, I don't know about the recorded part, but I don't think it's being live streamed. Look, in terms of the minutes, they're not a blow-by-blow account. It's just simply, in general, just a recommendation and what was voted. And I think, if anybody asks for it, I'm sure they'd be happy to give to them. It's not a secret, what happens by any means. So I'm pretty sure anyone who wants to, I mean, they'd be pretty boring reading for the most part, but if you really wanted to,
You never know.
if you really wanted it,
With Paul Katanko there,
you could get it. I'm pretty sure.
I think you would
Get
do
in
that
touch with the AC. Okay.
through Jeffrey Masengi. He's been very, very helpful. So have a chat with him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but as I say, it won't be a blow-by-blow account. It will just simply be what was voted. The motion.
It'd be great if they live streamed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that's
they
right.
do,
Exactly.
like they do the GC.
They'd be too scared.
Well, the GC airs it all out in the open.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but and I respect the Ted Wilson style
Exactly.
of being open, and he openly shares what his stance is. It's
Yeah.
the people who tell me behind the scenes that they are supportive
exactly.
but won't publicly, and because
Yeah.
the people behind the scenes are running this actual weekend show, they won't want it streamed because the white people actually running it will suddenly have to reveal their hand.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I'm not a Ted hater. I admire Ted in that he stands up for what he believes.
yeah, I agree.
And he doesn't care what
I
people
love
think.
that. Yeah,
He's going to put it out. I disagree with him,
yeah.
to be sure, but at least he stands up and he's not going to be, he doesn't test the wind first before he speaks.
I agree. Yeah,
and good on him.
yeah.
Good on him.
I've-
And it's up to us who have a different view to be just as forthright as he is.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need
And
moral
not to tear him
leaders.
down, but to say,
We need-
hey, we've got a different view, and
Exactly.
we're just as prepared to fight for our view as you are for yours.
People
rather
prepared
than
to
being
be
wishy-washy and virtue signaling and doing
Yeah.
nothing. That's
Amen.
just not on.
people prepared to be moral leaders, not just political leaders.
Yeah, exactly. And Ted's a conviction leader.
Yep.
And if you disagree with him, well, okay, fine. But at least you know where he stands, and he's always going to be consistent.
Yeah.
With what
I
he
do
believes.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
In fact,
Even though I disagree with him.
over my nearing 500 interviews over 5 years, what I've discovered, and it's my own personal opinion, is that the people that I thought were the good guys are the ones who I now don't respect as much as I respect Ted Wilson.
Mhm.
I don't agree with 95% of what Ted Wilson says, but I respect that I know where he stands.
Exactly, that's it.
And the
That's it.
guys,
Good
you know,
on him.
the guys who when I grew up with the good guys and the guys who whisper in my ear things are changing, I've lost respect for them. And now is an opportunity for them to, and who cares whether I respect them or not, but this weekend is going to be a real groundbreaking moment of whether, in my view, my humble opinion, if they can step up to the plate or not.
Exactly.
And I want to invite the three of you back on, not next week, because I think it doesn't finish till the Thursday, is it, next
Yes,
week?
that's right. Yeah.
But the week
Mhm.
after, can you please pencil in either our Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll just chat about what went down. And
Yeah, look,
I will eat my hat if I'm wrong.
Unfortunately, I'll be on a Reformation tour
Well, the
in
week
Europe.
after.
I go straight from the constituency meeting to the airport. Literally, I'll meet my wife
Wow.
at the airport.
And then go
I
from
don't even
there.
go home, so
Unless
Well,
you get a
I
paper
won't
book.
be able to.
When you're back,
unfortunately.
you're an important ingredient for this show. So when you get back, let's just do
Yeah,
this
look,
again.
I'm happy to be on any time.
And I don't want to,
Anytime.
I'm sounding like I'm bagging them, and I'm not attacking them. I'm holding, all I want is for these guys that I'm apparently stirring the pot with, is for them to demonstrate some form of accountability.
Mhm.
I was actually really proud of these guys reclaiming
I've
the
got that
prophet.
too.
And,
Mhm.
they finally, a bit late, better late than never, they finally
Yeah.
put out a book that held
Mhm.
up their values and how they saw Ellen White in the church and the big tent
Mhm.
vision of
Yeah.
it. It got banned within 6 days, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But maybe Peter Mashenko, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're all about to get organized and speak up and do the right thing. Now, I'm just going to close. Debbie, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to wrap up any thoughts you have in closing, and then Paul, and then Peter will just do a quick plug for the. I keep forgetting I keep wanting to say subscription. Petition.
Mhm.
But Debbie.
Oh, okay. So I think issues like this are put on the back burner all too often, and we've seen that already happening for this AUC. It's been downgraded from a vote to a discussion. But why is that? And I think that there is a lot of apathy and exhaustion issue, like social justice exhaustion behind it. But I actually wonder whether there is a level at times of antipathy in some people's way of thinking. I was talking to somebody who is very interested in social justice, and I won't mention his name because I don't have his permission, but he has looked at the issue of social justice so often and has just discovered that over the years we're less and less and less interested in caring for those people who...
The Adventists are.
Sorry?
Adventists are less and less, or you mean as a society?
Adventists are less and less interested in correcting justice in society. I'm not quite sure of the reasons for that.
Well, I remember having Nathan Brown on the show a few weeks back, and he said the same thing. He read the research and he said it was quite disheartening. He said that live on the show, that instead of getting a stronger heart for justice, Adventists were losing a momentum towards wanting to raise these issues. That shocked me when he said that.
Yeah, we don't want to. But I think the thing is, the most upsetting thing about this issue is that there's gatekeeping that is going on, and it's so obvious. And whether it's intentional or not, what it actually does, it presents the Adventist Church in a very unflattering way. And there's this concept called total institutions that's based on the insane asylums of the 1800s, where there was a lot of things that were done to those people and they had little choice about what happens. And that's what happens when there's institutional insulation and you're shielding the structure and creating barriers to things changing. And what they're doing is they're protecting their systems and their hierarchy, and they're protecting the people who are above. And we can see that very, very clearly with the GC, is that at the moment the AUC isn't willing to act, I think, because the GC are not happy to. They're always conferring or wanting to their approval. But they're also issuing autocratic proclamations, like there will be no votes. There will be no motions on this topic. There will be no votes. And it's really eating away at the democratic process of the church. And they're shielding the church from the kind of accountability that they think isn't that important, which is kind of sad, because what's actually happening is that they're closed-minded to people's pain. And you see that you see that in those insane asylums, is that it didn't matter what they needed or what they wanted. They were imposed upon by a system who thought that they knew better.
Yeah.
And they also clung to those archaic sort of cultural norms, which a lot of us see as the church thinking the Bible is saying to us to cling to as well. Those are the kind of things that are then imposed, and it becomes, and it makes our church look very, makes our church look worse than it actually is, I think, because the individuals within that church, they're not bad people.
No.
But it is not a good look for the Adventist church. And I think if they wanted for that to all go away, they would need for it to go to a vote. But I think that they're afraid of what would happen if it went to a vote.
Yeah. But like Peter says, it might turn on a dime and change on the during the meeting. We'll see. We'll cross fingers. Thanks, Debbie. And Paul, some closing thoughts and remarks. Anything you hadn't said you'd like to add?
Oh, I've always got plenty to say. Whether it's worthwhile is another thing, but anyway. Look, for change to happen, it's going to have to basically be a rebellion from the floor, because they've stitched this up. The admin has stitched this up well and truly by downgrading it, by saying we're not going to accept any motions. So it's going to be hard to overcome. It really will be. It's really going to take confrontation with the chair to change the rules, because they've rigged the rules in such a way that it's going to take a lot to allow motions. In terms of why or what they did, I'll just read what is in the agenda papers. As we near the session, and as risks have been further clarified in various contexts, including the recent meeting of the Ordination Working Group, there is an awareness that the conversation may best be progressed in a manner that facilitates wider engagement with issues and would be helped by conversations in various less pressured contexts. There is a risk in the current context that discussions may result in unintended outcomes. What began as a conversation around biblical values and mission could dissolve into divisive sectarian debates, threatening the unity of our church and weakening our collective mission. Utter garbage. Utter garbage.
Yeah.
The division is caused by not ordaining women, not by ordaining women.
Yeah.
It's
He's
always
just saying, put it in
blaming
your back pocket.
Yeah, it's always blaming the women. If we ordain women, we're going to risk divisiveness. It really is.
Yeah,
it
hadn't thought
really
of it like
is,
that.
Yeah, it's quite misogynistic. It really is. To say that if we go ahead, I mean, I've sent links to people from, I think it was the PUC, where they had that special constituency meeting to ordain women. It was done in a very respectful manner. Doug Batchelor had a cameo appearance there. He was a delegate. But, people had their say. this sort of stuff, they're always fearful. And my biggest beef is they do not trust the people.
Yes.
They see us as some sort of rabble that we can't
Mhm.
have respectful conversations.
Mhm.
We can't have a respectful motion and a respectful vote.
Yeah.
We're going to dissolve into divisive sectarian debates, threatening the unity of our church and weakening our collective mission. That is just a ridiculous statement. It really is.
Would actually strengthen the collective mission.
Exactly. Of course it will.
In
Of course it will,
Australia,
Debbie.
people,
Of course.
we're trying to reach
Absolutely.
the outside world, and they're looking at us and they're going,
Ugh.
what?
Well, it gets on that point, Debbie. This is what it
Yeah.
says: in place. What in its place, instead of the agenda with the votes, exploring mission, including a constructive, collaborative conversation on ordination, exploring how we go about the conversation in view of mission and taking on board the perspectives, risks, missional implications, and how we engage within the world church. Point 2, a discussion of how we, from a national perspective, missionally engage with the 84% of Australians who are disconnected from faith communities. The missional focus would include how we shape and leverage the Australia for Christ focus and strategy. To me, how about ordaining women so we don't look like idiots to the world?
Yeah.
That would be a good first step in my view,
Yeah.
and a simple step.
Yeah.
Nothing that would need Bible conferences and
No.
special sessions, and
They've already been.
I just wish they would trust the people more. That's my biggest wish.
And
Trust
like
the
you
constituents.
said, not only are they not trusting the people, you said earlier about the young people looking on at this. So people within the church, the young people in the church that are the future of the Adventist
Exactly.
church are looking at it, and they're leaving in droves. And these the latest generation, like the young ones now that are like 18 to 35, they are very passionate about justice.
Exactly, it's true.
And I remember Jeff Parker contributing to an article in the Record. The title was called something like 60% of young people are leaving the church. Now, when someone says that in the Record, the church, I'm assuming it means the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That's how Adventists often speak. We say the church, but he was referring to 60% of the broader Christian community. 60%
that's
of
right.
young people.
It's not
Now,
not just
I
problem.
used his figure on that, and he said, "Oh, where did you get that?" And I thought that was a bit of irony there, because I got it from his quote in that article. But he said, "Oh no, that wasn't referring to the Adventist Church." And I said, "Well, what's the Adventist Church figure?" "Oh, we don't really have those numbers." He said, "Okay, well that's fair enough."
It's about
But
the
he
same,
guessed around 40 plus, and I said, "Oh, so potentially up to 60." And,
sure.
Any studies that I've looked at within the Adventist Church, it's, I reckon, way closer to 60% than 40, and
Probably,
that's
sadly,
shocking.
but true.
Yeah, it's sad.
True.
And I just think that they look on this, and they are just leaving, and they're sad and shocked and discouraged. And we create a community for people, and when they leave the church, Adventists often don't really feel like they belong when they leave the church. It takes them a while. If you're a young person, you don't feel like you belong out in the secular world, it's pretty harsh. So I think you're right, Paul. Something needs to be done. And I believe in my heart that this weekend, this is going to be a landmark meeting. What happens next is going to be huge. I believe. Anyway, yeah.
Hope you're right, Peter.
I hope so.
And
Paul, it's going to be landmark no matter what.
Is the next
My
opportunity, Paul, 5 years from now? Is it this weekend or 2030?
Well, I'm not
those
sure.
are
I mean, having another. I mean, who knows? I mean, they've said a special constituency meeting in 2027, but they were supposed to have a special constituency meeting before, and it never happened. It's always been kicked down the road.
Yeah. I
That's the
remember
thing.
early on saying my daughter will be in her 20s before it even looks like happening,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
she's turning 13 next month, so
Mhm.
it's looking like I might be right, and I don't want to be right, and I'm not smug about it. I'm just saying that my being right means maybe take a listen to what we're saying on the show instead of saying I'm attacking. Have a little listen. I'm saying it because I care.
Yeah, exactly.
And people need to really
Same here.
start doing something. And so this weekend, whatever happens is going to be landmark. If I'm proven wrong and it all goes through and women, it heads towards women being ordained, awesome. And if I'm right, and it doesn't, we now know who is causing the problem. And that's landmark. Any final thoughts there, Paul? And then we'll go and chat about the petition.
Yeah, I just wish the leaders would listen to the people. It's the easiest sell.
Yeah.
The people are way ahead of the leaders. It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
And the spirit.
Exactly.
Mm.
All we're asking is that the union recognise what God is already doing, calling women into ministry. Just recognise it. You don't have to force it. Just recognise what's already happening.
And we know that 70% in this conference anyway of the workers want to see it come into to be approved, women's ordination. What's your thoughts, Paul, on the grassroots? What kind of percentage of Adventists church members that just sit in the pews each week, what percentage do you reckon want women's ordination to go ahead?
Well, see, the good part is I don't have to guess. The union's own research showed it.
Right.
I can't remember the figures I quoted. Okay, I'm here.
I've got it.
Strongly agree or strongly agree was 57%.
Wow.
Strongly disagree or disagree was only 23%. But there was 19% that were neutral. So if you add the 19% of the 57, you come to 76% who would be quite okay with it. In my own conference at the constituency meeting 4 years ago, we actually took a survey of ordination, and 76% said yes, women should be ordained. This is in 2021. Now leaders are still, not catching up with it. This
Which
is the
shows it's all
frustrating
about
part. They've got the hard
bureaucracy.
numbers.
They've
had the hard numbers, yet they won't make the hard decisions.
And what?
All about bureaucracy rather than what the spirit has moved people in Australia.
And what legends they would be if people like the good guys like Terry Johnson and Brendan Pratt. How incredible would it be if they go down in history as being the guys?
We would be so supportive.
David Johnson, I'm pretty sure he's in the States, has written on our Facebook thread when we were talking about officially being ordained, and he said, yes, this is in the, I think, North American division. Yes, they are ordained officially. I physically print the credentials in my office for the conference. Yeah. So thanks for that.
It's only those unions that have done it. Not every union
does
it, and then not every conference within the union does it. So it depends.
Yes.
On where they're located.
And he adds, in Pacific Union, it was a 50% layperson requirement. Our conference worked hard to also send a contingent that reflected the ethnic and gender balance of the membership. As you likely know, our vote was about 80% in favour, which lines up with the stats we've been looking at. We hope Australia can step up. Good on you, David. He's added, it's worth saying that none of the doomsaying from the anti-women's ordination has happened. The mission has been strengthened, not weakened. So that's exciting. And now it's time, isn't it? It's time. So you leaders, if you're watching, and I know some of you are, some of you that I've even mentioned this morning are watching today. We want to support you, uplift you, encourage you. This is an opportunity that you could really have a significant effect on the history moving forward. So thank you for being Adventist leaders, and we look forward to your next move.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Yes, don't be afraid. That's a good one, Debbie. Now, we'll close just quickly with Peter reminding us about the petition. I'm going to just throw it into all the chats right now as Peter is talking, and then we will bid farewell for the day.
Thank you, Peter. And yeah, appreciate you reading, Paul, what they wrote about that, wrote to the constituents about mission and everything. And as you all were talking, I thought, look, a nice way to wrap up for me would be to actually just read my petition, because that expresses the thoughts that I've had and obviously are resonating with others around Australia. So the petition says, the issue: it's time for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Australia to recognise women equally in ministry. Discriminatory practices, such as single-sex ordination, not only harm our mission, impose an arbitrary limitation on spirit-called women, and turn people away, they also deprive the Church of the wisdom, insight, and leadership that women uniquely bring. We call on church leaders to do everything within their power to end this injustice now. We, the undersigned, care deeply about both churched and unchurched people across Australia. We long to see the Seventh-day Adventist Church become more effective in sharing and living out the good news of a loving God who is gracious and just with all people in our increasingly secular society. And that resonates with what you read, Paul. But we believe that the Church's current practice of gender-based discrimination, which is what it is, via ordination, is a significant barrier to that mission. A system that limits and excludes. The Church currently operates a two-tiered system, where a requirement of ordination exists with a gender-exclusive application to be able to perform certain pastoral functions and leadership roles. This represents a structural injustice that limits the calling and contribution of spirit-filled women, undermines the effectiveness and credibility of the Church, and pushes people away, both those in the Church and those looking in. We are seeing people walk away from the Church because of this issue. Many others, especially younger Australians, aren't willing to hear our message when they see a system that treats women as second-class citizens. Our Church is both poorer and weaker as a result. This is not the gospel we preach. We reject discrimination on the basis of gender. We affirm the Protestant principle of the priesthood of all believers and the New Testament teaching that there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is neither male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Galatians 3:28. Our current practices contradict this truth, hinder our mission, and misrepresent the inclusive gospel we claim to uphold. A call for justice in our cultural context. In Australia, the idea of a fair go, that everyone deserves equal opportunity, is deeply woven into our cultural identity. When the Church upholds a system that excludes women from certain levels of leadership, it is seen as not just outdated, but unjust. This injustice doesn't only hurt our witness, it leaves the Church increasingly out of touch with society and potentially exposed under anti-discrimination frameworks. The time for change is now. We understand that the issue of ordination will be discussed at the upcoming Australian Union Conference Constituency meeting, August 31 to September 4, 2025, and are encouraged by reports that many conferences have expressed support for discussing change to the current system.
Whoops.
Somebody's got an echo.
That was good.
To its current system with its entrenched structural inequalities. We affirm their leadership and acknowledge that there may be multiple faithful pathways towards the removal of current inequities. We commend the steps that have been made towards equality and believe the time has come for our church in Australia to finish the job and find a way to fully align its practices with the gospel of justice, equality, and grace in this matter. What we are asking: we respectfully call on church leaders, delegates, and members at all levels within the Australian Seventh-day Adventist Church to advocate boldly at every forum afforded to them, and to seek and create opportunities to vote to end all forms of gender-based discrimination in employment, leadership, and ordination, if ordination is retained as a requirement for certain roles. 2, ensure women called to ministry by the Holy Spirit are recognized on equal footing with men. And thirdly, lead with courage, guiding our church in Australia to a position that honors biblical truth and speaks meaningfully to our cultural context, acknowledging that unions in other parts of the world may have different perspectives and needs within their own social and cultural contexts. Recognizing that the entire global church may never reach consensus on this issue, we call for justice, at least within our union, for the health and mission of the church in Australia. This call is grounded in Fundamental Belief 14, Unity in the Body of Christ, which affirms that distinctions between high and low, rich and poor, male and female, must not be divisive among us. We are all equal in Christ and are to serve and be served without partiality or reservation. We stand for justice and equality. We pray for wisdom and courage for our leaders as they consider this issue. We pray for a church that embodies the character of Jesus, a church that welcomes all, uplifts the marginalized, and embraces the gifts of every believer. We are not ashamed of the gospel, nor of standing up for justice and equality for women, and the powerful, spirit-led contributions they are called to make at every level of church life and leadership. Justice delayed is justice denied. How long will we hush our hearts while injustice lingers in plain sight? How many years will we wait before finding a way to do what is right? Let us not remain stalled or silenced by policy or politics while justice cries out for us to action. When conscience calls, will we not respond with conviction and do the right thing because it's the right thing to do? This is both our prayer and our promise, that the church in Australia will lead with integrity, standing in solidarity with all who hunger and thirst for righteousness and what is just in this matter. As Martin Luther King Jr. wisely said, the time is always right to do what is right. Now is such a time for our church. Be bold, for the Lord your God is with you. We also support you and will be upholding you in prayer as you act as our representatives in this cause that is long overdue for resolution. Sign this petition if you believe it's time for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Australia to end gender discrimination in ministry and more fully embrace a gospel of inclusion, fairness, and justice with all of the benefits that will bring. And I'd just like to close and say to our leaders at the AUC, Australia is a wonderful, the best country on earth. We've led in so many areas. You know, we developed Wi-Fi, we're bold, we punch above our weight. You know, we're known around the world for being bold and telling it as it is, just doing the right thing and not waiting to follow others. So I'd encourage our leaders to be leaders, to take that Australian spirit and be the innovators and let others, you know, be inspired by our actions rather than being just timid followers. And that's my call, Peter. So those that want to sign the petition, please.
Thank you. And I've put the link there in all the chats. Please go and sign. Several people have been saying they have signed it, so that's good. And I like what you said there. I'm so glad you read that. Thank you, Peter. And that timidity like the as Paul was saying earlier, the virtue signalling from the SPD and the unions and the conferences for decades has been, we're those Aussie larrikins that speak up and get in trouble for speaking our minds, and they in many ways have become the most timid leadership model on this topic that I've ever seen. Matt, just a couple of quick messages. Nikki Carlton writes, "Good on you guys, warms my heart. So many people are standing up for justice and common sense." Matthew Hunter says, "Anyone who knows who the new president will be, feel free to drop it in the comments here." I wonder if I can say, because I've heard through the rumor mill. Is it like, will I be, will lightning strike if I say who I think it might be? It's like I've just heard via the grapevine, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's not.
Who do you think it would be?
I might not even say, because I might get it wrong, and it's not even. But I just want to say thank you so much to you guys for chatting today. Thank you to those watching. Listening ear has said silence generation. This is the silence generation. It's time to speak up and get the work done. Women can do it. They are gifted by God. And
Can I just add that Rick said that I just proved that Ellen could have held up that Bible?
yeah, I saw that come up.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you,
to-
Peter, for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Deb, thank
And I'm happy to go be on the program anytime.
Awesome.
You're amazing.
That's so good to hear. I feel like I've been calling out and no one comes on. A lot of people.
Yeah, I
See,
didn't know.
Peter, not all the progads are chicken.
Yeah, that's right. But only because I've been controlling them so much for 5 years.
Oh, it's all because of you. No, you have been instrumental.
It's all
in
because of
helping
me
that.
in my sphere. But like I say, it's not because I want to be right. I just want to point out that I'm not attacking. I'm actually trying to
Yeah, that's right.
encourage the.
I love my church.
Yep.
I've given my life to it. I want to be proud of everything we do. That's
Yep.
it.
Amen.
That's it.
Amen.
Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you guys. I've really enjoyed today's conversation, and
Yeah,
let's
very
meet
good.
up when
Thank you
you're
all.
back. What date are you back, Paul?
October 6 or 8. I can't remember.
Let's plan
I'll be
to.
focused on the departure date, not the return.
So
But it's holidays.
yes. Well, here's some homework for Peter and Debbie. When the meeting's done, find out all you can about it, and then when Paul is back, we will meet up again in a few weeks' time.
With our inside
Yes.
man.
I wish you were on social media,
Well, we-
Paul, because I would love to see photos. You need to set up a Facebook account. Your son's been giving you a hard time about that.
I'm going to
I
get
like being on
Photos.
anti-social media.
social media. I'm going to get those Meta.
Oh, what's that?
I'm going to get those Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I'll be able to go to meetings and go click and record.
Actually, one last thing, Peter. I've already asked people to consider the petition, but even more so than the petition, and more impactful is, could I ask that anyone, that does care about this, to please pray for all of the
Exactly.
delegates
Mhm.
and leaders,
Mhm.
that they, would have patience, wisdom, open hearts, open minds, and a spirit of collegiality and wanting to do the right thing and listen and do something for our church, not just for their protection of their roles. And I think the people in Australia, we don't care if we get sanctioned, if that's what happens. Do you think that's the Australian character, that the GC is going to be upset at us? We would wear it with a badge
Exactly.
of pride.
We
So lead us.
the people would, but those particular leaders
We the
may
people.
not be able to continue their ascent. Is that right? Up the
Maybe
hierarchy.
Maybe not, but do what's right for the world and for Australia.
That's
is
the
what
question.
I
That's the
pray.
challenge.
But let's pray for them
Yeah.
and respect them, And, you know, like I said, we're not trying to tear anyone down. We really just want to encourage and show that we are
Exactly.
supportive of doing
Yeah,
things.
and look, most people the vast majority of people in leadership are good people. You know, they really are.
Mm.
But sometimes it's just hard to do the right thing in the system. You know, it's as simple as that. Unfortunately.
Mm.
What did you say, Debbie?
Overthinking it in many ways.
Oh, absolutely. This has been so overthought. My goodness, I can't
Yeah.
believe it.
No, I know. Absolutely overthought. So, tomorrow, sorry, Debbie, to have SDAQ&A logo.
I like it.
You've already been canonized as Ellen White. So.
I better change my dress code.
So tomorrow we have Dale Caldwell is coming on to do our Good News Fellowship program. I invite everyone to join us at our new channel. It's not going to be here in the SDAQ&A channel. It's only at our new place there, youtube.com/@Gospel Good News Fellowship. Come and join us. We're building such a great community there. We really look forward to hanging out each week. Same time as today's program, but tomorrow, and it'll be Dale Caldwell. I've never heard him speak before. It's going to be interesting. Till next time, everybody, we will see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks very much, Peter.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Peter. Thanks all.
Peter,